My sister's request to pay for her daughter's wedding turned into a full-blown emotional roller coaster. She came to me, pleading, begging for financial help. You see, I'm the only one in the family who's really in a position to assist. The idea of saying no never crossed my mind at first. After all, it wouldn't hurt me to chip in and give my niece, Olivia, the wedding she dreamed of. But little did I know that helping would soon come with unexpected emotional baggage. Let me rewind a bit. My life hasn't been easy. My husband passed away suddenly, leaving me with a business that I wasn't sure I could run on my own. I had to dig deep to keep things afloat, working late nights, handling car modifications that I'd learned from him, and eventually becoming part of a tight-knit community of car enthusiasts. I didn't just take on the work, I took on his legacy, struggling with my own doubts along the way. The business wasn't as big as before, but it was mine now, and I made sure to keep it going. Despite the challenges, I found pride and fulfillment in my work. Yet, my sister Rachel, she never really understood any of it. Ever since we were kids, Rachel had been treated differently. She wasn't held to the same standards. While I had to work hard for everything, she was allowed to make irresponsible decisions and always had a safety net. Her life was one of indulgence, and the fallout from her actions rarely affected her the way it would have affected me. I never got the same support from our parents. It's a wonder we were even close. After all, she'd even had an affair with my boyfriend when we were still together, and my parents never held her accountable. Eventually, she married him, and that was that. My parents' constant favoritism left me emotionally drained. Fast forward to today. My niece Olivia had always been dear to me. I watched her grow up, and as I saw the wedding plans unfold, I was more than willing to step in. When her fiancé, Chris, lost his job and her parents couldn't help financially, I agreed to pitch in. It was going to be a beautiful, modest wedding, nothing extravagant, just a nice start for the newlyweds. I worked twice as hard, took on extra projects, all to ensure that their big day went smoothly. But as soon as the wedding approached, things began to shift. At a family dinner a few days before the wedding, Rachel casually laughed and made a snide remark about my car modifications. She mocked the work I'd built my life around, and Olivia, who I'd always treated like my own daughter, joined in. The shock hit me like a ton of bricks. How could they mock me like that? As if all the blood, sweat, and tears I'd poured into my business meant nothing? I tried to keep my cool, but the hurt was unbearable. I stood up, furious, but they all just laughed it off. It was just a joke, they said. You know how Rachel is, they shrugged. I couldn't take it anymore. I left. The next day, Rachel, Olivia, and Chris showed up at my garage, mocking my hard work. Rachel, especially, kept belittling me, claiming car modifications were men's work and that my clients were clowns. Her words stung like daggers. I tried to ignore them, but the tension was too much. When Chris tried to intervene, Rachel continued to insult me, claiming that a woman couldn't possibly perform physical work like men could. That was the final straw. At the rehearsal dinner, the insults kept coming. Rachel mocked my contributions and my hard-earned money. It was as though everything I had done was worthless. And then Olivia, my niece, made a cruel remark about me being a good little maid. I couldn't believe it. I pulled her aside, told her how hurt I was, but she just brushed it off. She accused me of ruining the pre-wedding event, and suddenly, I was the villain. When I told Rachel I wouldn't be contributing any more money to the wedding, she flipped out. She couldn't believe I was withdrawing my support. Why not? She cried. It's just a joke. Don't be so petty. But I had had enough. The constant mocking, the belittling, it was too much. I reminded her that she had never achieved anything on her own. She had always relied on others, especially our parents. The tears, the guilt trips, they didn't work on me anymore. Rachel, of course, didn't take it well. She raged, and the family turned on me, calling me cruel and selfish. But I didn't care anymore. I stood my ground. I had supported Olivia from the start, and I wasn't going to let anyone make me feel small for it. I wasn't just a woman working on cars, I was a woman who worked hard for everything she had, and no one was going to take that away from me. I felt absolutely devastated. How could this have happened? I truly feel sorry for Olivia. She's my niece, and I just couldn't believe the situation we were in. I reached out to the venue, and they were kind enough to offer a refund, but it would take a few business days to process. Meanwhile, today, I sent Olivia a message letting her know that I could no longer afford to fund her education. That's when Rachel started texting and calling, demanding that I couldn't do this to Olivia. And now, our parents are involved, pressuring me to help. My mom even tried to get me to talk to Rachel, saying Olivia didn't deserve to be abandoned like this. But once again, I had to tell her the same thing. I simply couldn't afford it on my maid's salary. That was the moment when my mother tried to joke, saying that if Rachel called me a maid, she'd laugh and admit it was pretty accurate. That comment cut deep. How could she make light of something like this? So, I snapped. I yelled, telling her that there's a big difference between affectionate jokes and outright malice. I don't mind playful humor, but they need to know what lines shouldn't be crossed. They can't just say whatever they want, especially when it's something as sensitive as my finances. So now, here I am, torn between conflicting emotions. Am I overreacting? Should I have just stuck to my word and made those last payments? My in-laws don't mind, it's my money. But my friends? They think I should have followed through. Part of me feels like they're right, and I'm going back on my word. But another part of me feels like I shouldn't have to put up with the humiliation and disrespect. It's not just a simple joke. It hurts. The support I received after sharing this was overwhelming. I didn't expect it, honestly. I thought maybe it would be better to leave it behind and move on, but as I posted, a wave of emotions hit me. Afterward, I shut my computer, feeling like I was spiraling down into a dark place. Yet, I read the comments, and I truly appreciate everyone's thoughts, both positive and negative. It gave me the clarity I needed when Olivia called me today. She was upset, protesting that I was ruining her future and education. But I couldn't help myself. I told her that she had no idea what it's like to work hard and support yourself. To pay for someone who treats you like you're nothing. I'm literally sacrificing hours of my life for someone who seems to think so little of me. She got angry, of course. But I couldn't hold back. I told her these were the consequences of her actions. You can't treat someone poorly and expect them to suddenly act like everything is okay. She's got 2 years now to think about how treating people like they don't matter is a terrible life strategy. But as I reflected on everything, I began to realize that Olivia wasn't entirely to blame. She's lonely, isolated, and growing up in a tough household. I know Rachel isn't the best mother, but Olivia is still my family, and I can't ignore what she's going through. The situation is complicated. I still miss my husband deeply. It's been over 10 years since his death, but I still cry from time to time. The pain feels like an open wound. And yet, here I am, stuck in this drama, trying to figure out what's best for Olivia. A few weeks later, Olivia came to visit with her 44-year-old boyfriend, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe it at first. But after some back and forth, I agreed, on the condition that I could ask him some tough questions. What kind of questions? Oh, I didn't hold back. How did they meet? Who made the first move? Has he been married? Does he have kids? And, most importantly, what's the end goal here? Is this a serious relationship, or is he just using her? When I finally got him alone, he became defensive right away. By the second question, he was already uncomfortable. He told me it wasn't my business, but I couldn't let it slide. He was staying in my house, and I needed to know who he really was. He left, and of course, Olivia and her parents were mad at me. They said I was out of line. But I'm not sorry. I had to ask those questions, not just for Olivia, but for my peace of mind. It turns out the guy was cheating on his wife, and Olivia broke up with him. That's when everything started to shift. Olivia and I talked openly, and it all came out, the truth about her birth, about Rachel's affair, everything. The truth hurt her, but it was something she needed to hear. After all the years of tension, we finally started to rebuild our relationship. Olivia even decided to get a job at my shop, something Rachel clearly didn't support. But Olivia didn't care. She made her own decisions, and I admired that. Things with Rachel only worsened. Olivia didn't want to follow their plans for her life anymore, and when Rachel tried to make her stay, Olivia finally snapped. She came to me, asking if she could stay. Of course, I said yes, but that didn't stop Rachel from getting angry. Still, Olivia stayed, and we've been building a life together. We bought her new things, made her room hers, and I've promised to support her, no matter what. And so, here we are. Olivia's future isn't set in stone, but I'm going to be there for her. She's made her choice, and I'll stand by her, even if it means going against my family. After all, sometimes you have to break the cycle for things to get better.